welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. We are live on location in Stratford, Connecticut at the studios of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'm here with Art Brewer. Art Bruder, the director, sort of the regional director of all the Connecticut CSB campuses, and there are at least two of them, correct?
That's correct, Farmington and Stratford.
Thank you for having us in your house today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Glad to have you.
Let's talk about the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. For those who may not be familiar with it, what is it?
Connecticut School of Broadcasting has been around for nearly 50 years. We teach students in all aspects of radio and television broadcasting. Everybody who teaches here at the school is a professional in the industry, so the education that they're getting is very current and very up to date.
And so if you're wondering, everybody, it's not just somebody who, is a teacher without actually being in the business. They're in the business or have been in the business, right?
Yeah, it's really common for one of the instructors maybe to get off air and walk right into the classroom and start teaching the students.
Now, in this day and age of broadcasting, it's not necessarily just TV and radio anymore, is it? You get into internet stuff and a lot of other things, right?
The industry is huge these days, especially with the internet. A lot of stuff that people do in the industry never even makes it to television or radio. It could be corporate, it could be industrial, training video. So there's a lot out there.
And it could be marketing, promotions. There are so many different avenues. Now, I was accepted to Connecticut School of Broadcasting myself way back in the day. I do a morning radio show now and obviously this TV show too. So I'm a big fan of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. We go way back at its inception. Can we talk about Dick Robinson a little bit and how it kind of all came about?
Dick Robinson is an incredible man.
Legend.
He's a legend. Yeah. He started the school actually on the pretense that people would keep asking him, Dick, how do I get into the business? So what he did was he got a room actually at the Hartford Hotel. I think it was the Ambassador Hotel or something like that, and started teaching classes. And the first class had maybe 10 people in it. He did that for a few years and then moved it off into Farmington. And at this point, we've opened up 12 campuses from Boston down to Miami.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The Connecticut School of Broadcasting just isn't in Connecticut, is it? Yeah, it's in Boston, Florida, you said?
We have Boston. We have two in Connecticut, Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, and Westbury, Long Island, which are both the New York market. Cherry Hill, New Jersey is the Philadelphia market. Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, West Palm, and Tampa Bay.
And for those that are wondering, is it like an accredited institution?
We're a certificate.
Okay.
We're a certificate program.
And what does that mean?
Dick Robinson decided that the most important part of the education was the hands-on in the studios. No math, no science. Right. The hands-on approach to actually speaking on the mic, talking in front of a camera. That was most important. So that amount of time has been designated, which allows us to give a certificate in advanced radio and television broadcasting.
Right, so because that other stuff that you're talking about, you'll have a nice associate's degree with that, but all that stuff really doesn't have anything to do with the industry you want to be in. It's not broadcasting. And as someone who's in the business, and I know you know this too, the people who are doing the hiring, they care about where you've been and what your experiences is. To be honest with you, they don't care what level of math class you took.
That's true. It's always great to have a 2-year or a 4-year degree. If you can get it, get one. But you don't need one to get into broadcasting. We actually have a lot of people with 2-year and 4-year degrees that come to the school to finish their education to get the hands-on training that they need. And then we place them in the industry. We give our students unlimited job placement assistance for their entire career, unlimited use of our studios. We actually give them a return policy too if they want to retrain in the future.
And I can tell you from at least, and I've been in a lot of radio stations, there is a stupendous amount of CSB grads that that come to us and either move on eventually or they get hired right away, and it's a great way to get into the business to go through CSB. And I'm not just saying that, I'm telling you that's a great way if you really want to be in the business is to go through CSB, especially because you do need some kind of a training.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. We have placed thousands of graduates in all of the major radio and television markets all the way down the East Coast. 50 years is a long time to build relationships, and that's why we're so successful with our students. Now,
Dick Robinson decided to, to sort of, kind of phase himself out of it for a little while, but then apparently missed it. You never realize you miss something until it's not around for a little bit, and then got back into it, right?
That's true, and he is now the CEO And he still, I wouldn't say he runs the day-to-day, but he definitely has his hand in. So.
No, but I think that's an important thing. You know, the guy who started it all and can kind of keep people grounded and just kind of maybe have those core values involved in it some way. It's a good thing for him to still be involved in it, don't you think?
That's true. He created the curriculum many years ago, and we continue to expand on it to stay up to date.
Right, and evolve. That's important.
Evolve, and exactly. And with it being professionals that are teaching, it's very easy for us to stay up to date and current to be able to train our students in the skills that the broadcasting industry wants.
Okay, now someone decides that they want to be in broadcasting in some way. They don't know if they want to be in radio or TV or sports or whatever. What's the first thing they should do? Let's say they say, well, maybe I want to go to Connecticut School of Broadcasting. How do you feel them out to decide if they might be right for the business?
Actually, what we do is we have everybody who's interested in the school come to a studio tour. It's an open house studio tour that we usually have in the evenings. That way they can get to know who we are. There's no obligation at the tour. They come in, they see what the broadcast industry is all about, what we teach, how we teach it, who teaches it, and then they're able to make a decision whether we're right for them. At that point, if they are interested, we start to talk to them about, well, what do you really want to do? Are you willing to do everything in the industry? Are you willing to broaden your knowledge base? Because some people do come in and want to do just sports, just voiceover, just on-air radio, whereas every student that comes to our school takes all of the classes. And the classes are small, so it's relatively simple for the students to take all the different curriculum. Then when they've graduated, they can actually continue in the direction more specific that they want to go to through workshops that we have. It's extended education that continues.
And you probably, I would imagine that you would encourage them or steer them away from sort of having tunnel vision towards just one thing, because it's probably not advantageous for them to kind of put themselves, you know, into a corner where their opportunities are lessened that way.
That's correct. I've seen a lot of people come in and want to do one specific thing and then do something else. And we actually recommend that they embrace all of the education, because even as like somebody who wants to be a sportscaster, they actually have the sports knowledge. We don't give them the sports knowledge. We teach them how to broadcast.
Give them the tools, right?
And then that opens doors to, wow, I never knew what it would be like to produce a radio show or produce a television show or maybe even be on camera.
This is the kind of field where you discover parts of the industry you didn't even know existed. You kind of had an idea of what you wanted to do, but you didn't realize that there were all these other jobs. You could be, maybe you thought you wanted to do play-by-play, but you didn't realize that you could produce, you could write, you could be off camera, off radio. I mean, there's so many things.
That's absolutely right. We have people leave here doing camera operations, directors, technical directors, associate producers, teleprompter operators, computer-generated graphics, anything that has to do with television, and the same thing in radio.
Let's talk about your background a little bit, because everybody here, including the director, has been in broadcasting, and your background is primarily, some of it is like video editing and stuff like that.
I actually came to the school as a student and wanted to do voiceovers. I was one of those people that...
You have the voice for it, by the way. You know? Thanks for coming out, everybody.
Yeah, I wanted to do voiceovers, and in the end, I actually came out a videographer. I started shooting camera for CBS Radio, and I ended up doing a lot of work for the Hartford Wolfpack, did some television commercials, and found that I really loved videography. So now, what I do with the education that I learned from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting is I still do videography, I still do voiceovers, and I also do some audio production. So having all those skills really helped me to succeed.
You still do that, but then you also somehow are the director, a regional director, so you do the Connecticut.
That's correct. I don't get to do a lot of videography anymore, but believe it or not, I actually shoot surgeries now and medical medical education. Yeah. So when I get a chance, I do maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
And that's got to be pretty intricate, isn't it? I mean,
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
You actually got to have a strong stomach for it too, right?
Yes. Sometimes I just send my guys in there. I don't go. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's great. Talk to me about your perception of the industry in general today. And I just mean an overall radio, TV, internet, sports, the industry as it is today.
Exploding would be a great way to say it. There's so many opportunities out there, not only in radio and television, but in stadium operations, sports. When people think sports, they think of sports broadcasting, but every stadium needs camera operators, they need crowd hosts.
PA announcers.
Exactly, directors.
So many things.
So many things out there. So much in the way of marketing for internet videos. If you can do a 30 or a 60-second video for a company, it goes a long way in their marketing. So that's very popular too. A lot of reporters. A lot of reporters out there now. A lot of independent television stations, et cetera, like yourself, where there's a lot of room to expand and get started.
And you know, and when you're talking, I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the internet in general because it is everything and everywhere. Even if you're talking radio or TV, they have internet involved in some way with them. Every radio station that is worth its salt has a live stream. It has a website, and they're also, we'll talk about social media too, but internet is so integral and so important to really whatever industry you're in, not even outside of broadcasting. But talk about the internet a little bit.
The internet has been a huge boon for the broadcasting industry. There are actually television shows that are just broadcast on the internet. I know many graduates have done their own independent films, sports people shooting sports, or maybe their own extreme sports, skateboarding, etc. The internet has been incredible, and it brings all types of media at the touch of a button to anybody.
Yeah, and anybody can learn it, can't they? I mean, you don't necessarily have to. I would imagine there are people that are interested in the industry in general, but might not think that because they don't think they have, for example, a good voice,
right,
or maybe they don't have the look to be in the industry. That's not the case either. You know?
Not the case anymore. It used to be the guidelines were very specific. You had to have a great voice or look great or whatever the case may be. Now there's so much behind the scenes work that the opportunity is there for just about anybody to actually attend the school and be successful.
Not only that, but you don't necessarily have to have the radio voice anymore, because I don't think a lot of companies really want that. They want you to sound like the average regular person, because that's what the listener connects to. You don't want to sound like Joe announcer.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Especially in voiceover these days. They want it to be a natural delivery because that is believable and trustworthy, and that's what it is.
We talked about one downside of the industry in radio, but you know, TV too, and that's consolidation. And it's just a fact of life, and it's also a result of advancing technology. You just don't need as many people in certain areas, and the big radio companies have a tendency to like to, you know, simulcast and those kind of things. And it's great for the people that are doing it, that makes them big. But the problem is, you know, you lose jobs here along the way, and then they kind of have to find something else to do. And it's just a fact of life.
And that only affects really like the top tier,
The big boys.
and
Yeah.
the real, like the last 5%. The other 95% is still wide open, and actually TV stations, news stations are coming online, radio stations all the time.
Right, because the news is the big revenue generator for TV, right? For
Yes,
the
it
local
is.
guys.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and that's where you need the people. You need the cameramen, you need the behind the scenes people, the directors. Again, well, now we're mentioning things we haven't even talked about yet. Producers, directors, guys using the computers, typing the graphics. What about the people who design all the graphics for all the shows and everything?
That's another benefit of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting is you learn everything. You learn how to edit on 2 different industry standard editing programs. You learn to broadcast on industry standard music software. You learn computer generated graphics and teleprompting on industry standard equipment, radio broadcasting boards, industry standard. So everything that you learn is applicable directly to the industry right away.
You know, for the longest time, my mom used to think that I would go in and play records for 4 hours every day. It's gone through so many iterations. It went to carts, it went to CDs. Now it's all in the computer.
It's all digital.
There's no physical media that you're using anymore for the most part.
Just for backup.
Yeah, just in case there's an emergency or anything. But it's so different, and it's evolving all the time.
That's correct. That's
You know,
correct.
It's all about computers, right?
Every studio now has an audio recording software computer, usually an internet computer for research or instantly grabbing something or audio bits, and then your scheduling software, and then your board and your mic, and that's it.
So if somebody decides, okay, they've taken the tour and they want to be a part of it, they want to go to school, what's the next step?
Usually what I tell them at the end of a tour is I'll give you a call tomorrow to follow up and see if it's something for you. Once I answer all their questions, if it's something that they want to pursue, I'll have them come in and sit down for a meeting. At that point, we talk about their aspirations, kind of reiterate some of the things about, you know, when you come to the school, nothing that you learn is really hard, but you still want to work really hard. You want to be the best that you can be, because that's how you're going to succeed. That's really the message. We're going to give you the education. Come in, work hard, you'll succeed.
Can you honestly tell right off the bat if someone might not be suited for really anything in this industry, or do you just at least give them a shot at first?
Again, years ago, more selective. Nowadays, there's a lot more that people can do. If they express the interest and they're ready to take on the challenge, then we'll give them a shot.
When somebody starts taking the classes here, how long do you think it takes someone to realize what they're more suited for, or before they kind of, in their mind decide, you know what, I like the TV side, or I like the internet side. I think that's what I'm gonna go for.
Usually about halfway through the session, we see the light bulbs start going off. And that's, I think, because in the beginning, we kind of teach them everything hardware and software. And then in the second half of the class, they get to put that to use. They actually have to do news packages, TV commercials, radio commercials, air breaks, on-air breaks. So they start to gravitate towards what they really want to do at that point.
And that's what you need if you're going to put some kind of a demo package together.
Absolutely.
To send out. They need to hear what you sound like, see what all the stuff that you need to do to get a job.
And we actually provide that in extended education in the form of workshops, all included in the tuition. It's more specific, so we would have more advanced audio classes, more advanced sportscasting, more advanced reporting, to give that student, that graduate, the opportunity to hone their skills even more. And at that point, that's when they're starting to make demos.
Is that so? In other words, when they graduate, then they can kind of more target toward what they're going to end up doing?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So now, how long is what would you call it, a semester? Or
Yeah, we do 3 sessions a year. We do March, July, and November. And a session is either 8 weeks days or 16 weeks nights. You graduate from that core education, then you enter into what's called phase 2. That's when you start attending the workshops that are more specific. Again, they're included in the tuition, which I have to say is a huge benefit. You pay your tuition once, that's it. When you come back down the road, you don't pay that tuition again. Our doors are open to you to retrain. So you take your 8 or 16-week course, whether it's days full-time or nights part-time. And then once you graduate from that, you enter into the workshop phase, which is when you're starting to work more specifically on what you want to do and your demos. Now, a lot of people actually, when they graduate, walk out into an internship or a job. So it's even more difficult for them to come back, but that's okay because they're already on their way in their new career.
what about like internships? Are they going to classes here and maybe kind of dabbling in another place? Or
We actually have them graduate before we send them up.
okay, so they've got it all.
The focus is here until we're done. Then we actually have a post-grad meeting with that graduate to discuss their education and then get them in the direction they want.
And they don't get the diploma until they're done with that phase 2 stuff. You're going into the
Sort of halfway through that.
Okay.
And that has to do with a lot of things, compiling grades and making sure everything's done and all that, but yeah.
Okay, but you pretty much know at that point that they're on their way to getting it, but you still, that's kind of a requirement, that phase 2 stuff.
Yeah, we
'Cause
like
it's more
to
targeting.
see, exactly, we like to see them go through phase 2. Yeah.
Right. And so at that point, they're ready to head out into the world and, kind of tackle what they're going to do,
We, on a daily and weekly basis, we place people, and it's so rewarding to have someone come in who knew relatively nothing about the broadcast industry and walk out and work for a major radio or television station or other broadcast house.
The facts of life these days, the economy that we're in, are you finding more of those, I got to have my job in the daytime? Is the nighttime part-time stuff more popular now, getting more popular?
It's almost even.
Is that
You get
right?
a lot of young folks coming through right out of high school or maybe out of a year of college, coming in for our day courses. And then, like I did, night student, you have to
Secondary.
work. Exactly, you work during the day. You got to do what you got to do to support your home and your family, and then you get your education too.
Any people who kind of maybe a little later in life decide that they wanted to do a career change and they come in for this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, I would imagine that's getting more popular, right?
Yep. I've had gentlemen up to 75 years old come in.
No kidding,
Yeah,
huh?
and he actually does voiceovers now.
So you can get a job in the industry starting out at 75. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, there's no. If you are a person that is good at what you do and you have a lot of passion for the industry, you're going to succeed.
What, if you can think off the top of your head, and I don't know if you can, what's the most unique or maybe exotic thing that one of your graduates has kind of gone into that's somewhat related to the industry or field in general?
I've had people go off and be camera operators on cruise ships.
No kidding, right?
Audio
Yeah.
on cruise ships. Yep.
Wow.
Things you wouldn't think of. I have an editor at an insurance company.
Yeah, you wouldn't think of that. Why do you need one?
Exactly, but they do their own video and stuff like that. A lot of people that do online radio shows.
That's very popular.
Right, the music that they want to play because they're not listening to the program director. So.
Do you have some of your internet people? Can they fix like the healthcare website that seems to be in bad shape right now?
Probably
send your people out there to do that.
Good, but no. Actually, Connecticut School of Broadcasting has an internet radio station called All Noise Radio, and that is where students can have a show right away, to continue to be on air and practice and also take material from for the demo.
That totally makes sense because, I mean, even a lot of colleges have their own radio station, but that's kind of like block programming and stuff like that. But for, for CSB, which is kind of more targeted toward, if you want them to have a radio station, they can just go, and set up time to be on.
Right away, and we actually set aside a studio for them to do that.
And do they decide like what the format is and what they're?
Yep, they have their own choice. All I say is make sure it's PG.
Right, yeah. Hey, listen, you gotta still, even though it's internet, this isn't.
Well, their demo's up there, their resume's up there. So, if anybody, a potential employer is looking, they want it to be good. So.
Do you have employers calling you? I mean, are you the reference guy?
All the time.
Yeah, is that right?
We calls and emails all the time.
Yeah. Listen, I speak for my own company who's got many.
You call us all the time.
Yeah. Not me personally, but someone from my company.
That's
call.
right.
So what do you think? What do you think for the future? What's out there that maybe you can, we can expand? What will the industry evolve into? What's the next thing?
Again, I think people have found that they can get such a message across with video, which is a really huge part of the industry. That I think that's going to continue to evolve and open the doors for more people to be able to do it on a smaller, independent basis to reach larger crowds.
Let me ask you this question. Long ago, people said video would kill radio. Didn't happen. People said satellite radio would kill, broadcast radio or broadcast TV. Hasn't happened. It's just things have evolved. Talk about that.
There's a lot of people that have said that terrestrial radio is on its way out. And my opinion is no. There's no way. You turn on the dial in your car and it's there. You turn on the radio in your office and it's there. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a connection with the community. Radio stations like to get out into the community.
Key is localism.
Right, and that's what keeps it alive.
You can have as many, guys, satellite shows on or guys that are simulcast across the country, but they can't tell you that the accident that's happening on I-95, localism is key to the success of broadcast terrestrial radio. Local small companies, they can survive by building relationships with the local community.
And they can also say, come on down and see me at the local, dealership, auto dealership this weekend for, their contest or whatever the case may be, because they're in the community.
Right. Hey, listen, you can strive to be the big guy who's syndicated all over the country. That's great. But there's also a lot of jobs out there for the guy who's not a national guy, who's a regional guy, or maybe even a local guy.
And a lot of success.
Yeah.
A lot of success in local markets.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Connecticut School of Broadcasting website. What is it and what's on there for people to see?
www.gocsb.com. Kind of an overview of what we are, what we've been, what we're about. Testimonials from graduates, letters, videos, kind of explaining what to expect. And again, it's more geared towards having a potential student come to a studio tour so that they can actually use the equipment during that tour. We actually do radio production, television production here during those tours, so they get a really good idea. I've had many people say to me, I can't believe I was able to actually use the equipment when I came for the tour. I had no idea. So
when they come for the tour, they get hands-on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they meet professionals at that point. They'll meet a TV personality or a radio DJ or whoever teaches.
Maybe the director's taping a show and they might walk in at
There you go.
What are there any differences between the different campuses, Farmington, Stratford, up in Massachusetts, Florida? What's going on at the different places?
No, the curriculum is the same.
Okay.
It's not cookie cutter by any means,
Right.
but the curriculum is the same. Every school has professionals teaching at their campuses. So yeah, we again, it's our whole mission is to strive to create broadcast professionals.
How far do you have people driving from as far as where your location is at, or maybe some of the other ones? How far in are they driving? Like how far away?
I'd say I've had people come to this campus from Westerly.
Westerly, Rhode Island?
An hour and a half, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah, my Farmington campus, I have them come down from up in Massachusetts. So some people travel pretty far. I actually have people coming out of New York State that'll actually spend like 8 weeks out here with a relative or something just to take the course.
Well, it's not actually that bad because you can cram a lot. It's not like every day, right? Was it 3 times a week depending on what?
Right, it's 4 days a week day,
okay.
And then it's 2 nights a week.
Right. And again, how long do the sessions?
8 weeks days and 16 weeks nights. Yep, 3 times a year. So we're actually starting classes coming up soon, Monday, and next session will be in March.
Sounds good. Any last words you want to give to people who are thinking about it and want to get into the industry and maybe want to go the CSB way as we wrap up the show?
If you want to be in broadcasting, there's no better place to go than the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. We teach all aspects of radio and television broadcasting. Everything's taught by professionals in the industry. If you want to be in broadcasting, this is where you get your start.
Right. And you said earlier in the show, nothing wrong with getting a 2 or 4 year degree at a
Absolutely.
college.
Absolutely.
But the real hands-on stuff is right here.
That's right.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting. Art Bruder, the director for both Connecticut locations, Farmington and Stratford. Pleasure having us at your place today, because it's great, and we're even going to take a little tour after we get done with the taping here today. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. In the meantime, I'm Sean Murphy. We will see you next time. Take care.